Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first inaugural episode of the Variety Podcast. So, what this podcast is that it started off as a school project for a class I am taking currently. So, my whole goal with this podcast is to just basically talk about whatever I want and pretty much get feedback from the entire community. Now, how this podcast is going to work is that I will post randomly on this channel for who knows how long, and the topics aren't going to stay exactly the same. Like, I may talk about sports at some point, I may talk about politics at some point, I may talk about just like whatever I want at any point throughout this entire thing. The video lengths aren't going to be extremely long, I don't think, unless I really get into a topic that I really like, in which case it may take quite a while. Otherwise, I'm hoping to keep them between a couple minutes to maybe half an hour. Otherwise, who knows. But for this first podcast, I thought I would just go ahead and explain what this was going to be about, and basically go ahead and also say a little bit about college life so far, and pretty much give tips on college life for at least this first one. So that's mainly what this topic's going to be about, is college life and this introduction to it all. So what tips can I give for college so far? Well, first off, make sure that you are staying connected with people that you knew from back in high school and everything else like that. Second off, you want to go ahead and make sure that you are going to be involved with what you find interesting and everything else like that. Third, make sure that you are finding a friend group. If you find a friend group that you like, then you know what? Good on you. You're going to make your college life a little bit better. Fourth, you want to go ahead and make sure that you and your roommate are happy with your current living situation. What I mean by that is that make sure that you guys are staying on common ground, everything else like that, and you'll be fine. If you do have a problem, don't be afraid to talk about it. I was, and I ended up like not really liking my roommate, and stuff happened, and so on and so forth. Third, not third. So going back to my points on this, okay? So make sure that you keep in touch with people that you hung out with in high school and everything else like that. Yes, you guys are going to separate apart because you might be going to different high school or going to different colleges and everything else like that. But if they are your friends and everything else like that from high school, then they might understand that you might not be able to talk to them from like time to time. But make sure that you're always like keeping up to date, saying hi and everything else like that. Just making sure that you're keeping up to date with them. Keep them on like the know and everything else like that. Going back to my second point about making sure that you find a friend group here, it's real important to find your friend group in college. Because if you do, then it's going to make your college life a lot easier. Because like I would like to give an example that by knowing some people from high school and them coming here, I've been able to meet some new people, and they become some like really cool people. They become some really cool friends, and we were able to hang out a lot, play basketball, do whatever we want. And so that just makes college a little bit more bearable when you're having to go through with student debt and everything like that, and just everything else that's going on with it. Now, the third point, get involved. If you get involved when you get into college, if you get involved, it's going to make it a lot easier to stay on campus. This way, you aren't having so much downtime to yourself, and other than studying and doing what you need to do, you at least have something fun that you can go do for on occasions. Now, it's really important for that because you will get bored easily and you'll start to miss home, and it's a process. I went through it. At least a good amount of college students always go through it because they always want to go home. They always want to do something else about that. Well, the whole thing about that is that if you go off campus every single weekend, you're not going to make people, and you're not going to know the people there. You're not going to have the full college life experience. Now, it's important to get that college life experience because then you actually learn how to interact with people around your age and interact with people that are older than you. So this way, you have that personal connection and you are able to make those lifelong bonds for when you go on into like the job and career that you would like to have. My fourth thing, let's see here. Fourth thing, I forget exactly what I said for the fourth thing, but going for what I said, uh, going home, making sure that you're involved, and everything else like that. Just like, because if you get, wow, yeah, I'm really messing up. See, this is why this is gonna be a learning process for me, especially on this, because it's going to, because I've never made a podcast. This is gonna be an experience, and you guys are gonna come along for the ride. And so, I thought I'd go ahead and give a little bit more information about this now. So, the overall topic, at least for like the last podcast that you guys will possibly see, or at least the title of the podcast, is going to be, do you have the right to be forgotten on the internet? That's going to be the whole thing. So I'm going to be researching this throughout this entire semester, and then the final podcast for at least this project. And before I continue on with this, if I do continue on with this, will be about that, on whether or not you feel like you should be forgotten on the internet when you happen to either go or when you want to go ahead and leave the internet. So if you guys would like, you guys could easily give me feedback on that, what you guys feel would be an acceptable response to that, and everything else like that, because I would like to hear back from you guys, get your feedback on whether or not you feel like you should be forgotten, and I can just collect all that data, give you guys a really good podcast to end out this semester at least, and that'd be a really great thing to do. Now, again, this whole thing is going to be a process, learning about everything that goes on with it, and it's going to be a really nice podcast. I hope I go and make it a little bit more entertaining, and so it's just going to be, like I said, a process. I ramble a whole bunch, I repeat myself, and yeah, it's just going to be a lot of fun. I hope I actually go ahead and I continue on with it after all this is done. I'm going to get a little bit more organized for future episodes, and it's going to be about it. So if you guys would like, if you guys do like this, I appreciate any feedback that you guys can give me. Anything else about that? And so I'm going to sign off. See you next time.